Hey there, folks. You are listening to Medley with MaddiE podcast episodes, and this is Maddie Dawson. We are in episode number 2 of Books podcast series, and it's Monday, so we're going to talk about some book. Unfortunately, we do not have a guest speaker today, so I'm going to talk about a book that I read. The last book that I read in 2023. So I just completed a couple of days before, and it's called as The Girl Who Reads on the Metro by Christine Féret-Fleury. I don't know, it's the French pronunciation. So yeah, the title is in itself was very promising, and we were, as you know, we used to conduct book club events, and we had to come up with this 5 short books of short stories, maybe around 5,000, 150 to 200 pages. So this was one of the books that was selected for the monthly read, and the title in itself, as you say, The Girl Who Reads on the Metro, was very promising, and I was looking forward to read this one. And for the last book for 2023, I picked it up, and yeah, I was expecting too much, I guess, from the title. So the story is simple. There is our central character Juliet, a female. She is having a very ordinary life, and she works as a clerk, I think. Not sure what exactly. There are some details, but I forgot. Yeah, so she works in a clerk office, and then she has a couple of colleagues. One is the boss, and other is like a lady colleague. So, and she takes this metro to a work. So she's kind of reading people in the metro. So, and as you can guess from the title, so there are people reading books in the metro, and she reads them. How what books they read, and what do they go through. So there is this old lady who always looks across cook, what is that called, chef recipe books. I think she's very memorable about her youth, and that recipe book means a lot for her. So every day she kind of brings that book, and then she looks at it. I think her name is Sylvia, the old lady with the chef book, and there another ornithologist who looks up who has this giant book of animals and insects, and he always looks through it. And then the third girl is like, the third person is a girl like who always reads romance novels, and at page number 247 she kind of breaks up and tears. What do you say? Becomes emotional, and she starts crying, and this builds curiosity for Juliet, looking at different people, like holding on to one book that they prefer, and especially the girl who's reading the romance novel. What is there in page number 247 that makes her cry in every romance novel that she picks up? So yeah, she ends up, so inciting incident is like, and all of a sudden, due to a kid, what do you say, girl kid, she ends up in this very weird and peculiar looking bookstore, and she just wants to check it out. She knows that she might get late to the office, but then she just wants to, because she's curious about people and books, and this is a place where she hasn't come across before, and she wants to go inside and check it out. So she walks inside, and the little girl's name is Zaid. I think Zaid. I don't know how do you Zaid. Zaid. So she takes her in, and like she says that this is my dad's bookstore, and I like today it's a holiday. I have to go to school, but then since it's like I'm sick, I'm like I'm gonna take rest or something. And she gets to meet the father, who is Solomon, and he's the caretaker of the bookstore, and through him we get to know more about people called posser. I think it means basically people who possess books, and there is this concept that people possess books, and the book is tracked somehow, at least in hard copy or like in internet. A person picks up a book, and he or she reads it, and then he or she drops it somewhere, or like make sure it passes on to another guy or stranger. So those who do this, take this job of passing on books, they are called passer. And Juliet, and then we kind of feel that Juliet is also a passer, or she might become a passer. And so she ends up getting acquainted with Solomon and Zaid, and how the story progresses from there. So pretty much about books. So this book in itself is about books, and there's a lot of titles I have to revisit and get to know what's happening. And I felt quite interesting to read this book. As I said, the title was very promising and I had a lot of expectations, but then I was expecting a story where the girl sits in a metro and she keeps reading different books and she kind of meets different people and there's some interaction going on in the metro. So there is very little thing or events happening inside the metro. So she just takes a metro to her work daily, and then she kind of notices or observes people reading books, and then she ends up in this bookstore, and most of the story happens in the bookstore, like how Solomon and Zaid and Juliet get acquainted, and like she basically quits the job eventually, and then she becomes the caretaker of the bookstore, and there's a lot of emotional things, but then it's a happy reading and it ends in a very heartwarming way. So I think you should give it a try, and especially if you're fond of books, and then this book is about books. I'm telling you. So I love the characterization of Juliet. Like, she's that casual character that you come across in ordinary life, people who are not very extrovert nature, but then they like to sit and observe other people. I am kind of an introvert basically, so I got related to Juliet. And then when she explores this or comes across this bookstore, and she's curious about that page number 247, what's happening in 247, because every time the girl reads a new romance novel and it goes up to 247, she ends up in tears. So there is something happening in 247. And there's also this question, same question she asked about Solomon. Solomon is like a savvy guy who knows everything about books, and he's one of the poser as well, and but he doesn't go out, and he has his own backstory, daughter, what happened to the mother. So all those questions will be answered eventually in the story, and I felt it's a easy read. I did not find it difficult. It was not enthralling, I would say. It's not like a thriller novel, but then it was drama. It's a drama, so heartwarming read, and I could read it. I mean, I seriously wanted to finish it before December 31st, so it was around 197 pages. I think I completed it in 7 to 10 days. I was like reading 20-30 pages every day, and it took, the story hits slowly, and then you have to give it time. And people who love drama and especially books, it's a really good read, and I think you should check it out. The Girl Who Reads on the Metro by Christine Féret-Fleury. Difficult name to pronounce, but it's a good novel, and it's a short novel. So do check it out, and I hope you enjoyed this short podcast episode. We'll be trying to bring more guest speakers to podcast series, especially books and movies, and people are ready to lend their voice. So I'm gonna explore this podcast platform in YouTube. So look forward to more podcast series and episodes from MaddiE with MaddiE, and see you until the next video. And then you're listening to MaddiE with MaddiE, and I'm MaddiE Dawson. Bye bye.